Is Charles Leclerc's long-term future in Formula One increasingly linked to a potential move to Aston Martin from 2027 onward? The uncertainties that continue to surround Ferrari, together with the growing rumors pointing to interest from the British team, make the scenario more concrete than initially expected. The contract Charles Leclerc signed in early 2024 follows a 3+2 structure and includes a performance-related clause tied to the competitiveness and development progress of the car. This means that if Ferrari's 2026 project fails to meet the level of performance and guarantees that Charles Leclerc believes are necessary to fight consistently for victories and for the World Championship, the Monegasque driver could decide not to activate the optional years and therefore choose not to extend his stay at Maranello. At the moment, this possible scenario unfortunately no longer seems as remote or hypothetical as it once did. Ferrari must provide guarantees, or it may be time for Charles Leclerc to change direction. According to what Italian journalist Leo Turini reported, the entourage of Charles Leclerc has already been approached in recent months by representatives from the Silverstone-based team. These initial contacts are said to have taken place through his longtime agent Nicolas Todt, with the idea of a future opportunity beginning from the 2027 Formula One season. Even though Charles Leclerc is not officially on the driver market, the general atmosphere surrounding the prancing horse has created fertile ground for speculation and for alternative scenarios to be evaluated with greater attention than before. Ferrari's current situation, both from a technical perspective and in terms of internal communication and public messaging, is not contributing to a calmer environment. Recent statements made by Ferrari chairman John Elkann, which were directed not only at Charles Leclerc but also at his teammate Lewis Hamilton, were perceived inside the team as a clear warning addressed to both drivers. The president expressed dissatisfaction with the performance delivered on track by the team, remarks that quickly spread through the paddock and generated widespread debate. These comments certainly did not go unnoticed for Charles Leclerc, who has always been very sensitive to the signals coming from the upper management of Ferrari. Despite a season full of challenges, Charles Leclerc has consistently remained the team's main reference point. He collected 7 podium finishes across the 21 Grand Prix held so far, a result that carries considerable value when viewed in light of the level of performance demonstrated by the SF25. His comparison with Lewis Hamilton has also been extremely clear and telling: 214 points for Charles Leclerc versus 148 points for the British driver, a substantial gap that has further reinforced the Monegasque's leadership position and internal influence within the Maranello team. Throughout the past few years, Charles Leclerc has deepened his understanding of Ferrari's structure, its internal processes, and its technical development philosophy. Over time, he has become a central figure in the Scuderia's long-term technical project. Since the earliest stages of his career, going back even to his time in junior categories, Charles Leclerc has grown accustomed to driving cars that were not capable of winning on pure performance, and that required him to constantly overperform to extract competitive results. This experience has shaped his mentality and strengthened his reputation as a driver who delivers more than what the machinery would normally allow. There is a growing feeling among insiders and observers that the 28-year-old driver may have reached the limits of his patience. His emotional bond with Ferrari, which has always been considered deep and sincere, has never been questioned. However, the wait for a truly competitive car capable of consistently winning races has gone on for far too long, stretching across several regulatory cycles. The upcoming season, which will introduce the radically new engine and chassis rules for 2026, will be absolutely decisive in shaping the long-term direction of his Formula One career. If the 2026 project does not meet expectations or fails to demonstrate a clear step forward compared to recent seasons, the Monegasque driver could realistically evaluate opening a new professional chapter in what is already a substantial and mature career at the highest level of motorsport. For the first time, this possibility does not appear unrealistic or exaggerated. The name of Aston Martin has returned to the center of the discussion, especially in recent hours, as new signals and pieces of information circulate behind the scenes. The situation becomes even more intriguing when considering the uncertainty surrounding Fernando Alonso's future at the team, since his contract is set to expire at the end of the 2026 season. This means that the scenario at Aston Martin could be evolving rapidly, with various opportunities potentially opening up. It appears that Nicolas Todt has received more than one sign of interest from the team owned by Lawrence Stroll, who is reportedly interested in the idea of bringing the Monegasque driver into the project starting from 2027. The British team is currently undergoing an extensive phase of transformation and restructuring. The arrival of legendary technical figure Adrian Newey, combined with Honda's renewed and long-term commitment as an engine supplier, and the expansion of the state-of-the-art Silverstone facilities, represent a highly ambitious platform for the future. Aston Martin is fully aware that, in order to take another significant step upward and genuinely challenge Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes and McLaren for podiums and race wins, they will need not only a strong technical project, but also a top-level driver capable of extracting the absolute maximum. The credibility, consistency, and performance maturity that Charles Leclerc has built over the past seasons make him an extremely appealing profile. A solid technical platform and a clear long-term vision could attract Charles Leclerc if Ferrari fails to provide the guarantees he believes are essential. Rumors became even stronger after John Elkann's recent comments, which opened the door to further interpretations and internal evaluations. In situations like these, it is completely normal for the people close to a driver to explore possible alternatives, or, at the very least, to generate interest around their client's value in the market. In this particular case, Aston Martin's interest could also serve to strengthen Charles Leclerc's negotiating position in possible future discussions about his contract with Ferrari. This does not necessarily indicate an imminent departure or a definitive decision to leave, but rather a phase in which every available option is being examined carefully and with strategic foresight. For the moment, the situation remains open and fluid. Charles Leclerc continues to repeat that Ferrari has made real and measurable progress. For this reason, he hopes for a clear step forward in 2026, especially considering that the new regulations represent a unique opportunity for a competitive reset. However, he is also aware that the time for waiting is coming to an end. With the driver market becoming increasingly dynamic and with several teams developing ambitious technical projects, the final decision about his long-term future could come sooner than many expect. Ferrari will need to demonstrate through consistent on-track results that it can genuinely change pace. Only once those answers arrive will Charles Leclerc be able to decide whether to continue his journey in Maranello or begin a completely new and potentially transformative chapter of his Formula One career. In this broader context, the coming months will likely become crucial in determining how Charles Leclerc positions himself within the increasingly competitive landscape of Formula One. With all teams preparing major structural and technical evolutions ahead of the 2026 regulation change, the value of an elite driver like Charles Leclerc is expected to rise even further. Several rivals teams are entering periods of transition, and the ripple effect could reshape the entire driver market. For Charles Leclerc, the key will be observing not only Ferrari's technical progress, but also the internal stability and long-term strategy demonstrated by the team. Meanwhile, Aston Martin's accelerating growth, supported by significant infrastructure investments and the arrival of high-profile personnel, continues to position the British squad as one of the most intriguing alternatives. As the sport moves toward a new era defined by sustainable power units and renewed aerodynamic concepts, top drivers must make choices that will shape the next decade of their careers. For Charles Leclerc, these decisions will revolve around a single essential question: which team can truly offer the long-term foundations, competitive guarantees, and winning trajectory required to achieve the world championship he has been chasing since his arrival at the top level of motorsport?